Back in May 2000, the internet was taken by storm. Opening an innocent-looking email with a simple subject, "I love you," became a massive problem for millions of people. The file inside contained a malicious program that overrode users' image files. After that, the virus began infecting even more systems by rapidly sending itself to the first 50 contacts in the user's address book. In a matter of hours, it grew into a global pandemic thanks to its ability to play on a fundamental human emotion, the desire to be loved. Today we might find a love letter highly suspicious, but it caused a massive disaster for computer users back then. In the United States alone, 2.5 million users suffered from this virus. It didn't stop at individuals. Major institutions worldwide, including the US Congress, the Pentagon, and the UK Parliament, fell victim, resulting in a mind-blowing $15 billion in damage. The impact was so huge that "I love you" earned its place in a Guinness Book of Records as the most dangerous virus. People at that time weren't fully aware of all the dangers lurking on the internet. However, as you might have guessed, the "I love you" virus wasn't the first encounter between humans and computer viruses. Hello everyone, my name is Lily, and today we're going to find out when and what was the first ever computer virus, shall we? Nowadays, more than 6,000 viruses are created every month. 9 out of 10 emails sent worldwide contain one of them. Every year, viruses cause $1.5 trillion loss to the world economy. The rise of computer malware gave life to a new branch of the economy. Annually, antivirus companies earn up to $2 billion in the production of their software. Oh yes, before we proceed, let's define one important thing. Viruses, worms, spyware, and all kinds of programs that can cause damage to your computer system are called malware. Though the term virus is a type of malware, it is also referred to all kinds of malware. So let's agree that we do that too. So, in May 2019, during an auction, an art piece named "The Persistence of Chaos" was sold for an enormous amount of money. For an 11-year-old Samsung netbook, the buyer paid $1,345,000. The artist created a work of art consisting of a laptop that contains 6 computer viruses, worms, and pieces of malware that have caused major damage. To be exact, these 6 caused nearly $150 billion loss to the world economy. One of them, the worm MyDoom, even crushed Google. It was in July 2004. At that moment, it was considered to be the most destructive virus in history. It spread even faster than "I love you," and the record is still standing. At its peak, 1 in 4 emails sent globally was sent by MyDoom. There even was a bounty of $250,000 for anyone who had information about the creator of MyDoom. No one ever came forward, and the only clue as to the identity of the people behind MyDoom is that the first infected emails came from Russia. There was also a cryptic message in the body of some of the MyDoom emails that simply read, "Andy, I'm just doing my job, nothing personal, sorry." This led some experts to believe that MyDoom was created by a third-party contractor that was ethics aside just doing his job. All these viruses from the Persistence of Chaos appeared in 2000s, but the history of malicious software started long before that. So let's continue our journey to the past. In 1986, 2 brothers, Basit and 17 years old Amjad, developed an IBM PC program for monitoring the state of cardiovascular system. Soon, the program was stolen by pirates. Very upset about what happened, the brothers created the Brain, a program to protect intellectual property. The Brain was supposed to attack computers with an illegal copy of their medical software installed. But unfortunately, it quickly got out of control and started to attack companies where the brothers' software had never been installed. At this point, you surely have questions. The internet started its journey in 1986. And not so many people and companies had access to that strange new thing. So the question is, how the brain was spreading? Let me introduce you to a floppy disk. If you were born sometimes in this century, you probably haven't seen it. A thin plastic thingy coated with magnetic material, which nowadays can be found in the museums near the dinosaurs. Floppy disk could store from 800 kilobytes to 2.8 megabytes of computer data, which is less than a high-definition image of a museum map to find it in. So once the floppy with a virus in it was inserted into a new PC, it would install itself to the system's memory and after that infect any new disk inserted into it. So potentially, one computer could infect hundreds of others, because floppy disks were the only possible way to transfer information, sometimes even in the same office. Now that we know how the viruses were spreading at that time, we go back to the brain, Marty. Too many references from the last century, I know. After infecting the system, the virus offered people to call a shop in Pakistan to get a vaccine. When brothers began to receive a large number of phone calls from all over the world demanding vaccination, they understood that the program, instead of tracking illegal copies of their software, started to harm random computer systems. Anyway, it ended well for the brothers because they managed to explain that their motivation had not been malicious. Now brothers own a large Pakistani internet provider called just like the virus, BrainNet. The brain is considered to be the first computer virus for IBM PC. But there were other computer systems before that, so let's keep digging. To continue, we need to find out where the word virus comes from. At the time when the brain was spreading, users all over the world already were calling any malicious software a virus. The start of that name was given 2 years before the brain. In 1984, computer scientist Fred Cohn published a paper called Computer Viruses, Theory and Experiments, in which he gave an explanation of a computer virus and tried to find ways to fight dangerous programs. Cohen believed there are positive viruses. He himself had created one called the compression virus, which was infecting all executable files on a computer and making them smaller. So in 1984, he gave the definition of the virus, and people started to call them that way. Right? Not quite. Computer viruses were in scientists' minds long before the internet and personal computers. In 1966, John von Neumann's book Theory of Self-Reproducing Automata was published. Replicating automata is a mechanism that has the ability of self-multiplication. Its birth came from mathematical and intellectual curiosity and not from malicious intent. In this book, he wrote about the possibility to develop a code that can copy itself and infect its host, just like a biological virus. Years after Neumann's book was published, in 1971 to be exact, Bob Thomas did the first actual test of the replicating automata concept to see whether it is possible. During editing, we found out that many internet sources are using this as the photo of Bob Thomas. But this man is actually a famous reporter, Bob Thomas, who, by the way, was twice listed in a Guinness World Record for the longest career as a reporter. He created an experimental computer program, the very first virus, called the Creeper. He was successful and it worked. Each new host Creeper infiltrated, it infected the hard drive, replicated itself, and tried to remove itself from its previous host. The program was not actively malicious as it caused no damage to data, the only effect being a message to the teletype reading "I'm the Creeper, catch me if you can." Eventually, the Creeper was caught by the Reaper, the first antivirus software created in 1972, with only one purpose: to delete the Creeper. Feels like this should be the end of this video, right?
No.
We found out that the Creeper was the first known virus. However, in July 2007, many internet sites began reporting that the world had entered the 25th year of computer viruses. Even even without a calculator, we can assume that something is wrong. The thing is, the creeper did not require a boot sector or another file as a host. The only malicious thing was self-copying. That's why sometimes computer scientists refer to the creeper as the first ever worm. But technically, it isn't the first virus or malicious software. So we need to find the actual first virus in around 10 years after the creeper was launched. The year is 1982. 15-year-old high school student Richard Skrenta designed a prank, a potentially malicious program that could be installed in an Apple computer's memory and prevent users from removing it. After a user booted the system a specific number of times, the virus would display a humorous poem on the screen. While Elk Cloner didn't cause any significant damage, it was a playful yet important milestone in the history of malware, demonstrating how viruses could spread from system to system. Skrenta's creation is often referred to as one of the first examples of a virus that did not rely on human actions but could propagate automatically. The Elk Cloner probably wouldn't have spread much further than the computers of a few Skrenta's friends and his math teacher if Skrenta hadn't given away copies of pirated programs with a virus on them. And now, after 30 years, viruses that spread through pirated software are the most common type of malware. So technically, a 15-year-old teenager not only created the first computer virus, but also the most common way of spreading it. And we found it. The very first virus or self-replicating program of any kind that could work on home computer was Elk Cloner. And at the end, a thought to keep you awake at night. Statistically, about 80% of all internet users have their system affected by spyware. That means 8 out of 10 people watching this video can potentially be infected. We hope that you learned something new today because we definitely did. Thank you for your time. See you in the next video.